they say all men are created equal.
Shot! Master!
I'll pull out the Glock. Full of suffering succotash, son.
It's one of your nuts hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass!
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle. Last time you saw us, we were doing a review of the Vince McMahon documentary, but today we're back to our regular scheduled programming with a Dynamite review. Title Tuesday, Wrestledream is in a couple of days, so we'll be doing our predictions as well on this episode. But I feel a bit disorientated. It's Wednesday and we're filming a review from Dynamite last night. A bit weird, a bit off schedule. But yeah, let's jump into this week's Dynamite. Yeah, so this week's Dynamite, obviously on Tuesday, went head to head with NXT. But it seems that, I don't know, for me, I thought the show was pretty mid. It didn't even have go home show vibes, never mind Does it? going against NXT vibes. Not that I'm saying that it should do. I think actually it's the right decision to not put out all the stops against NXT only to lose in the ratings. And I suppose, what does it really matter when both of them have won? Because both of them have got their respective TV deals. So what really are we battling over? I feel like that kind of battle has kind of been and gone, and NXT won in terms of demo and in terms of popularity with a younger audience. I feel as though Dynamite, unfortunately, has had a drop off with ratings, but that's not to go against the success of this year, because I don't want to be negative. I'm not. Yeah, it's much easier to be positive, but yeah, I thought it was quite a weak show. What did you think overall? Yeah, I agree with you. It was pretty mid. I didn't think it was bad, but especially like the first half, I was a bit like, oh, this is dragging a bit. Especially like we'll get into, like the opening segments felt very sort of collision-ish, and I don't want to use that as if it's a bad thing, but it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't feel like a go home show. Definitely didn't get those vibes. But you know, there was parts that I enjoyed. So yeah, mid definitely being an accurate description, I reckon. Yeah. Yeah, so it opened up with Moxley's promo, I believe. Yeah, that's because I had a bit of a distorted stream, so when we get to it, there was a match that I actually didn't get to watch, so I'm hoping you can carry us through with that one. But yeah, the start of the show was a very weirdly paced show. Yeah. Lots of talking segments at the start, which isn't the normal format of Dynamite. We're used to expecting a big blow off opening match, and we didn't get that this time. Not that I'm adverse to having a significant hot promo opening the show. I think that can be really fun. I love that WWE style of that 20-minute long promo between two people, especially for a go home show. I think that works really well. But this wasn't that. It was a lot of bitty talking segments. So we had Mox. Yeah, Mox talking about Danielson. It was a nice promo. Talks about Danielson. Yeah, very cinematic, very true to Moxley's character throughout his whole career. Definitely a return to form. I think, like, especially with this angle, Moxley's identity has kind of been resumed, because he came in with a really strong, hot identity, and then I feel like he just kind of lost it by being like someone who's in the upper part of the card, and you're like, oh yeah, I like him and he's good, but he lost his edge, and this promo just totally that resumption of that. And he was just talking about the metaphor of Danielson being the American dragon, and how when he's backed into a corner and he's provoked, what's going to happen, and how Danielson's never learned how to accept that part of himself. And then Danielson had a responding promo where he said that this won't be his last match on Dynamite, yada yada. I'll see you on Saturday, essentially. And I did think as well the production was a bit weird. Like the audio on this was a bit distorted
the Danielson part.
I didn't notice that, to be honest.
Did you not? Maybe it's just my stream. And then when it actually opened and we had the derby bit, I found it very echoey, and it was like pitch black. Like there was no crowd at all. I
Mm.
actually had to go online because I was really curious as to whether they'd sold hardly any tickets, but apparently the venue was set up for 2.5 and they sold 1.8. So in
Mm.
general, it was a very small arena, but it just felt like there were like 300 people there.
Yeah, and I definitely thought that some moments it felt really quiet as well. That's not they were like into it at some points, but it definitely wasn't your loudest crowd. So yeah, I see where you're coming from. There were certain moments where you were sort of expecting a reaction and it was crickets.
Yeah, and especially for a go home show, like you want that hot
Mhm.
crowd to carry into the pay-per-view, that momentum. So perform in front of like, yeah, like you said, just a small crowd, but not only that, a crowd that didn't seem to know how to respond to what was in front of them. And I found that very apparent during this derby segment. It was very much like how the crowd didn't really know how to take it, which I don't blame them for because I found this segment quite messy. I've seen on online reception a lot of people like this segment, which is awesome. Like, glad you enjoyed that. I'm not saying that I hated it, but I just found this very weird.
Yeah,
Um, so
same.
going into it, this was an open challenge for this Saturday, and Brody King responded, which is already quite a random lackluster choice. It's
Mm,
it's not hot. It's had no build
yeah.
hardly. It's not like these people at a Nemesis, or he's been Brody King's been on a mad one recently.
Mm.
Oh, he's been hot, winning matches left, right, and centre. Um, Not only that, but he's not really a single star. And Darby's whole thing is he's trying to push himself up to the world title. Well, how is Brody King a proponent of that? How is he in his way? The the title scene, the world title scene is so crowded. There's so many people you could run through. Why the fuck are you bringing Brody King into it?
That's a good question, and I don't have the answer. I do not know. I agree with you.
Jim. Um, yeah, so they talk about that they have a history and they update us on that they'd been connected on the indie scene, and that when Ring of Honor had shut down, Darby pulled some strings and got Brody King hired. They're
Yeah, I'm
alike.
taking credit for that.
Both they've both helped out their families. They're both authentic. And then this is the bit that really had me like, what the fuck? Well, there's three bits actually. This is the second bit where he goes, "You want my spot? I'm the face of this company." And I'm like, what spot? What spot? Face of the company?
The daytime
What?
TV spot, baby.
Like, this is like one of my pet peeves in wrestling is when people say things like it's
It
it's
just
it's
aren't true.
truth, and yeah, just lie. When people just lie, like what do you want? And then everyone just accepts it. Like that's and did you understand that?
Well, he was saying like, "Oh, I'm on the talk shows," and it's like, okay, yeah, I guess, but he's not
And when's
like,
Brody King expressed desire?
well, yeah, I don't know this. I don't know if this is something I've missed, perhaps on another program. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was a bit lost. I found this whole thing very weird, and it just got somehow weirder after
Oh
this.
yeah. Oh, it did. Um, so
But
yeah, it tried to goad him into attacking him. He sits in the corner and starts
well,
barking aggressively.
well, before this, Brody was like, "Well, okay, it's all well and good you being face of the company, bro, but what if you die on Everest?" And it's like, you know what? Fair point.
That is a fair point.
He does.
Valid.
He does have a fair point. And Dabby was like, "Well, why don't you just kill me right now?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"What?"
In his Joker era, he like crouches down. He's like, "Hoo, hoo," does it for way too long. It's very awkward.
Yeah.
Very awkward. The crowd don't get behind it. Then he sort of like pulls himself back up, dusts himself off, and they exchange strikes. Brody gets like, I guess, like an open hand striking, and it seems that Darby's gone. But then he pulls out the rock from the segment last week and strikes him with it, which is obviously the heel move. Brody King's
Yeah,
then
right.
got blood gushing out of him. Darby's music plays. What? And people were like, this was the best part of the show. People online have literally been like, Dynamite was shit this week, but you know what? That opening segment, baby. I'm like, what planet are you on?
Are we
Like, honestly,
watching?
properly,
Maybe we're watching
are
a
we, yeah,
different segment.
are we watching the same thing? This to me was just messy from start to end. It didn't make any sense. And I'm
I
not amped
agree.
for it. I'm not, even though he's attacked him with a rock, I feel not, I don't get it.
Why is he just got a rock like in his pocket? Just yeah,
Well, he found it, didn't he, last week, when he was just out and about.
yeah, and he's just decided to carry it around. Yeah, the thing for me was that it sounded like they were sort of, it sounded a bit like mutual respect at the start, and I was like, oh, they don't really hate
Yeah.
each other. It's just going to be a battle of like who's the better man. But then suddenly they were brawling, and I didn't really understand where that came from.
Where's
It,
it escalated?
yeah, if they could have done this with the angle of like, oh, let's see who the better man is, and blah blah blah, then I'd be probably a bit more behind it.
Yeah. It's like, where is the crux of all this anger coming from?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's totally misdirected on both parts. Because if Brody King's whole thing is he wants to be the face of the company and all that, then why is he going after him? And if Darby's whole thing is he wants the world title and he wants to prove people wrong and he's got a chip on his shoulder, why is he going? There's, like you said, there's no basis. The only basis is the only thing that ties them together is mutual respect and how. Yeah, like how do you go from you and me, you retired your mum, I retired my dad, that yada yada, and then 10 seconds later you're hitting him with a rock and making him bleed. How has it gone from 0 to 100?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think you're right. I don't know why people are so up the arse of this segment. I don't see what was so good
Well,
about
suppose with the rest of the show, you got to pick something, haven't you?
it. Take your wins where you can get them.
Exactly. So then we had Renee. She was busy this episode. She was interviewing a
Yeah.
lot of people. She was with Lance, Archer, and Jake. And Don Callis came in and he said there's been a talent exchange. Um, so the talent exchange is that Lance Archer's now going to the Callis family, and LFI are going to be managed by Jake Roberts. So yeah, that's cool.
Clap if you care.
Yeah, clap if you care. It's a real shame because I feel like Jake is such a great pro man. He's been so underutilized.
Mm,
Um, Lance Archer, I just don't care for. I don't. You could strap him to. I can never bring myself to care. There's just people that you'll just like Brian Cage. It's it's like watching paint dry.
right.
No, I don't want to watch 50 pop-up power bombs. I don't care. I don't care. And then to pair him with the Callis family, which has already got its own cool thing going, which was my favorite part of the show actually. It's got its own
Mm.
finally gotten cool again. And then you pour in this dickhead in to dilute it down. Oh.
We don't need more people in that faction. It's got enough people and enough elements. So I don't
At
know
first,
who
I
gets
thought it was going
any
to be Will
benefits.
Hobbs that they were going to exchange for, and I was like, well, that's because Will Hobbs kind of faded from people's memory. I feel like with his injury, that'd be a cool way to reintroduce him. But yeah, and then what about Jake Roberts screams Lucha Libre?
Yeah, good question. Nothing really. I guess, oh, I don't fucking know. I don't have a clue.
I guess it refreshes stale acts, which I feel
Yeah, to
I
an
do
extent.
like LFI. I do like them. I suppose it's a way to refresh more so Jake Robertson to refresh Lance Archer, but it, it's just. It's just bloody weird, isn't it?
Bit out of left field.
Yeah. On a go home show, when you've got a million and one angles you could have been showing,
Mm,
and you're pissing about doing little side quests like this.
yeah, this feels like it should have been the show after Wrestledream. Like kick off something new and fresh. Not starting it now. I don't know why we're starting it now.
I feel like one thing with AEW is you always it'll hit a milestone and it'll be like, oh, we got this TV deal, or we've just done All In. And the following few weeks or the following week, there'll just be no follow up or no build or like no. It's almost like, oh yeah, mate, we did that. Like, let's take a week off, let's chill out.
Mm,
It feels like this week was sort of, oh yeah, we know we're gonna lose to NXT. We've got another pay-per-view coming up, which Wrestledream is probably to me my least anticipated pay-per-view of this year. Like it's just there's just been so much going on with Dynamite specials, and we had All In and All Out to now have Wrestledream, which last year was a really cool pay-per-view and really stuck to its name of Wrestledream, like these dream matches, this big feeling pay-per-view to now it just the pacing and everything just feels really weird.
yeah, yeah, I agree. And like you said, it just feels like it's been one thing after another. It's like I feel like we've not had a week off where it's just been a normal Dynamite and nothing else. It's just been special Dynamite, pay-per-view, all in, all out, all shake it all about. Fucking another Dynamite special now. And now it's WrestleDream, and I was like, shit, that's this weekend. I mean, I say this for
Yeah.
every pay-per-view because I have no conception of time, but fuck me, I didn't know it was so soon. I didn't realize it was so soon. Yeah, and I think you're right. I think maybe there is a little bit of like resting on the laurels sort of thing. Like when there's an achievement, it's sort of like, yeah, chill a bit. Maybe they're partying too hard backstage to put a good show together. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, it's definitely seems to be a pattern.
Yeah. And it's not normal because you'd think if you've got a lot of momentum, you try to ride the
Yeah.
wave of momentum. Um, but yeah, so then we had Monet with Camille and Renee. They talked about her match that was with Emi Sakura. Uh, yeah, and at this point, this is when my stream cut out. So there was Commander versus Hologram, and then a Matt Briscoe interview, I believe, and I didn't get to see
Yep.
it. And I know you're like, oh well, how convenient. Your stream didn't work for a match that you don't care about. And yeah, I agree to that. But I just, so yeah, if you'd like to familiarize us with that.
Yeah, well, as it was probably the exact type of match that you'd expect this to be, Hologram's been they've been bigging him up so much over on Collision. Like he's got a 13 match win streak. So they kept on emphasizing that on comms. And this was obviously Hologram's match just to put him over on Dynamite. Sort of felt like they were trying to transition him over to Dynamite from Collision, to be honest. It was a good match. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. Lots of flippy shit, high paced. If you can get a chance to watch it, yeah, probably do. I mean, it's not the best match I've ever seen, but it was good. It was good. And good for an opener, definitely. It's probably that high octane opener that we're getting used to on Dynamite and we want to see. That's sort of the pattern that they've been doing recently, isn't it? Like we mentioned before. So yeah, there was one particular like suicide dive that Hologram did onto Commander, and it was just a really good suicide dive, but it was like he went so straight into Commander. It was almost like he got DDT'd on the barricade, almost like because he was just straightforward, like going so fast. But yeah, it was just really fast paced throughout, and then Hologram won with his he does like an aeroplane spin bomb, which is a really cool finisher, to be honest. And he won, and then Jake Roberts came out afterwards, and I thought he was like, oh, I want hologram, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But no, then Roosh and Mortos attacked hologram basically, and then it was him aligning Jake Roberts aligning with them. So yeah, that was that match. I wouldn't say like go out of your way to watch it, but I think if you did watch it, you would enjoy it. It was good. It was, yeah. And I do definitely think that they're so hot on hologram. and they really want to get him over, and this was very apparent in this. So, um, and then the Jericho and Matt Briscoe, they had like a recap of what happened last week, and then what else? Basically, Mark was like, I'm gonna hurt you, Chris Jericho. It's not about this title. He dropped the ROH World title on the floor. He was like, I'm gonna hurt you. Because obviously what Chris did last week brought up his brother. So yeah, I just wonder why is Chris Jericho on this on the Wrestledream card and Hook isn't? I don't know. I'm just why Chris Jericho of all people fighting
We
for
ask
the
ourselves that every week.
every fucking week. Ring of Honor World title, Chris Jericho. Like, no, these two things don't belong in a sentence together. And we've been there and done that as well. I just can't be asked.
Valid.
That's what you missed.
Yeah.
Not all that much in a roundabout way.
Caught up. Caught up. So then we had Daniel Garcia in the back. It was kind of a weird segment. He was hugging just random ass people like Anna Jay, Orange Cassidy were there. But essentially this is just to represent that he has signed with AEW now, which I thought that he would do. Good for him. And Shibata also greeted him, did the little Google Translate thing. He's going to get Jack Perry for the TNT title this weekend. He said that when he wins it, Daniel Garcia is probably going to have his sights set on it. So that's kind of just setting up that, which, yeah, nice.
Yeah, nice.
Happy Garcia staying.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That is really great. So did you not see? Did you miss the part where he was cutting a promo in the ring?
I must have done.
Right.
Sorry, I'm
So
literally reviewing this in like a third of the show. I didn't even catch, and it's right in
no,
the middle.
no, that's all right. Because I got a bit mixed up then. But yeah, so yeah, he went in the ring and I mean, there's nothing really to it. He just cut a promo and he spent a lot of time building up to it. Like he was like, so what am I gonna do? Like building the tension, and
Yeah.
then he basically said, as one of the best professional wrestlers in the world, it's only right that I stay where the best wrestle, AEW, and then that was basically
Yay.
so
Woo.
yeah, like you said, happy to know that he's staying. And after that, there was a Swerve video package as well.
Yes. I've seen
Recapping
that he's been
Access Hollywood.
advertised for Wrestledream, that he will be there in some capacity. So that's very exciting I wonder in what that means.
Yeah, don't know. A
But
nice bit
I'm
of
I'm
fantasy.
I'm grateful for him to be back. For sure. He has been missed. So then we got on to the women's match. We had Mariah on commentary, and this was a four-way. It was supposed to be Britt Baker, but she unfortunately was unwell, so this replaced it. It was um, Willow Nightingale taking on the three former uh, previous women's champions. So we had Nyla Rose, Saraya, and Jamie Hayter, and I really enjoyed having a multi women's match. It felt really refreshing because normally it's just a one-on-one or a squash. How often do we get to see something like this on just week to week TV? And then also to have Mariah on commentary, it was just
Yeah,
nice to just have so many people. Even though at the start I was like, oh, I
agreed.
don't really care for the whole Saraya Jamie Hayter feud that's going on, but the match won me over, and it was, as I say, just
Yeah,
quite enjoyable.
yeah. I mean, so there was the four women in the match. There was also Harley Cameron on the outside. There was also Mariah on commentary, and Penelope Ford turned up. So that's seven women. That's a whole lot of women, and that wasn't the only women's segment where it was Mercedes, Emmy, and Camille. 10 women. Wow, we're in double
Wow.
figures. That's crazy. Oh, and also Marina Shafir. I mean, wow.
Yeah, utilizing the people that you've signed. It's always good.
When you pay the
Um,
contracts and you put them on TV, wow.
when they're not in catering. Mind blown. Um, yeah. So this match had a few dynamics. We had the Surveyor and Hater, gunning for each other, and as you say, Penelope Ford came out, um, and
To
attacked
absolutely no reaction.
Hater, and she sort of chased her off into the back, which I really like Penelope Ford, so I was just happy to see her being
Mm,
used in some capacity. But it is confusing because, as I say, we haven't seen her in a very long time. Um, I mean, it's nice that, her partner Kip Sabian getting featured, even though we don't really care for him. I suppose it's nice that they're finally getting, speaking of utilised, they're getting utilised. But it's just it's just a little bit confusing unless she's joining the Outcast, because why is she gunning for her?
fuck knows. Fuck knows. Um, yeah, no idea. And like I said, there was no reaction for her whatsoever, which was a shame from the crowd. This was like the particular moment where I was like, it's like this crowd is dead. They didn't care one bit when she came out.
No, and why should they if she's not been presented a certain way? And presentation is entirely a choice in AEW. I think we can forget that sometimes. If they want to build someone up,
Mm.
i.e. Jade Cargill, they will.
Yeah, that's
Daniel Garcia, if they want to build someone up from scratch, they'll do it. If they don't want to, they won't.
hmm
Um, and it's their fault. It's their fault if they're putting someone out there to a dead reaction or a dead segment.
yeah,
Um, it's entirely their fault because they have a formula that works for getting people over. So yeah, what did you expect? But yeah, I'm optimistic. She's really good in the ring. She's really good. And she's very underrated. So I'm happy that she's getting her minutes. But it's just a weird um circumstance.
yeah,
Willow, as you can probably have expected from the start of this, she was the one to take the win. She planted Saraya through a table, and then had an altercation after the match where Mariah attacked her and then whipped her with the belt. So yeah,
yeah. I thought her win was really emphatic. Look, she pinned Soraya and Harley Cameron at the same time, didn't she? So she came across really strong in this. Um, she also yeah, I don't know what I was gonna say there. She was just great in this. And every time I see her, she just wins me over a bit more. And I thought it was, yeah, that she came across super strong in this. I know that's the point, like she's going to be a contender for the world title. She's got to look strong, but I think that was really effective in this one.
even in being beaten on the ramp and she's got the blood coming out of her mouth, she looks fucking cool.
Yeah, and the later segment, which we'll talk about later, where she was so badass.
Yeah, that's why I love her so much. Is she's such an enjoyable, rootable, clean cut baby face.
Yeah,
But she will take it there. Like you don't mess with her, and you don't.
so
She's not a
true.
stupid baby face. She's not dumb. She's not naive. She's
hmm
got grit about her, and I just adore her. I really, really do. Moving on to
The,
something that I don't adore.
yeah, the biggest contrast of all time.
Yeah, the learning tree stable, and yeah. So Bill says the people who want the lesson the least are the ones who need it the most. Let's go and teach someone a lesson. Who are we going to teach? Rocky Romero. And they're just like, you're the lowest of the food chain.
It was very
Um,
mean, wasn't it? I was just sort of like, "That's that's not needed."
yeah, yeah. Brian Keefe says that you're looking at a future Ring of Honor champion. Have some respect, which is just like hilarious to me because it's like, who cares about Ring? Oh,
Who
yeah.
cares? Summed it up quite well there. Who cares? They just called Rocky Romero a lackey, and then we're like, bye.
It's just even worse though when I'm not trying to bury Rocky Romero, but it's like it's even worse going after absolute nobodies. But then I'm like, I also don't want talented people being pulled into the Jericho vortex. But it's even more
Yeah.
agonizing just watching these nothing feuds,
Mm.
these nothing segments that have no payoff. No one comes out better or worse. In fact, everyone just comes out worse every time.
Hmm.
Loss of aura points. It's just
It's a waste of
boring,
every time.
boring, boring to talk about. Let's talk about something interesting now. Woo, Jay White. But this also was kind of weird. This was a squash match, but I
Yeah.
thought that the the local enhancement talent, as it were, got quite a bit of offense in.
Yeah, I was just like confused. I think zoned out for 1 second and I looked back and, you know, Jay White was in the ring with some dude and I was trying to figure out who this guy was who he was fighting and I couldn't for the life of me figure out who it was. I was thinking, surely it's not local enhancement talent, and sure enough, it was. Yeah, he did, but that's the thing, he did get some offense in. It was a squash match, but it wasn't like
But why does he need to get
30
offensive?
seconds. Well, I don't know. He
It just,
didn't.
it just, it was weird. It was weird. The crowd came out and then they were quite hot, and then Jay White was just getting beaten up, and commentary was selling it as, oh, does he have ring rust? Can he overcome the ring rust? But it looked really awkward to me, and it just looked like this guy, from my perspective, this is from my perspective, right? Don't know if this is actually truth, yada yada. But from my perspective, it looked like this guy was just making the most of his moments and did his part for too long, and it didn't
Mm.
look like it was meant to be part of it.
Yeah,
That's
sort of,
just
sort
that's
of.
just the way that I read it. It just looked
Mm.
really awkward. Like,
Sort of
yeah, I'm
going to
sure he
business
was meant to get
about.
a chop in all that, but it felt like it went on for too long, and he was like trying to make a name for himself.
That's valid, I think. Obviously, we'll never know, but
Yeah.
actually,
Um.
but overall,
Yeah.
this match didn't really do anything for anybody.
It did it. He doesn't need it. He's only been out for a
Yeah,
few months. He doesn't need
didn't need building up
to
from
do
scratch.
this. Literally, it's Jay fucking White. This guy should be booked like the absolute top dog. Do you see Osprey doing this when he has a couple of weeks off? Do you see
Swerve won't be doing this.
what Swerve? Yeah, it's it's like he doesn't know that he's got Jay White signed. He doesn't know who he's got.
He's not familiar with his game, I don't think.
It's just oh my days. Then we did the promo, which is like, why didn't we just do this from the start? Why do we need to have a big song and dance about this? Uh, he's just talking about Hangman. He's coming for him. He knows that Hangman is coming for him, sorry, after his intervention in the match, but he wants it and he says he's going to go on to the gold, which was nice because that's what we all want. But I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned going into this match on Saturday because I think Jay White really needs this win, massively so. And I think if he doesn't, I don't know. He might need 10 bloody squash matches with local enhancement talents
Mm.
because the character assassination this man has had over the past year is disgusting.
Yeah, you're right. He really does need a win, and I just don't know if he's gonna get it.
I'm stressed.
But
I'm
he's
stressed,
he's he's
guys.
laying his claim for the world title. Like he at least he's aiming high.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And not that I expect him to be in that scene within the next few months or anything. Um, I think we're looking way out, but with
Mm.
the momentum that Hangman has at the moment,
Yeah, exactly. It's two guys who need a win, so it's what do you do? Someone's got to lose.
why are we doing this? Why are we doing this, Tony? Then we had Hook. He's on the hunt for the assailants. Taz also wasn't on commentary this week either.
Yeah, we had Jeff
Um,
Jarrett.
yeah, we did.
We're winning. Also, that's reminded me when Mariah was on commentary, she kept on bugging Jeff, being like, "Where's Karen?" I was like, "She's one of us."
She was great. Calling Jimmy Hater Daphne and all that. She's very entertaining. for sure. So Hook's on the hunt for these assailants. Um, he confronted Kip Sabian. He's like, "I've got nothing to do with this, mate."
But that was
Um,
weird because it was sort of like Kip Sabian like walked into him backwards or something, as if he didn't see the camera set up and shit. It's like, oh, it's so dumb.
yeah. The patriarchy came in. Christian's looking for Kip Sabian. But then he has a word with Hook. Because he says we're both family men, and his
Mm.
sympathies are with him. On the loss of his father. So that was a haha moment. Also gave a shout out to Killswitch, who has been suffering from pneumonia.
Oh God.
Get to believe he's recovering now though. He's on the up, but yeah, very 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 scary. Um, so yeah, bit of a nothing, especially since it was built up like Hook is going to confront the assailants and he's got words, and then it was something else. It was entertaining, but I,
Mm.
I don't know. It's just spinning the wheel in it. It's spinning that
Yeah.
wheel.
I just found this a little bit like, like Christian Cage showing up and being like, "Hook, have you seen Kip Sabian?" As if he wasn't just there and they're in the same corridor. Like 2 seconds later, like how have you not just seen him? And then Cook was like, "No," which is so in his character, and I did think that was funny. But I just, this whole thing was daft. Don't know. Do you think is Hook gonna join the patriarchy?
Uh,
Daddy Issues Club?
why not? He's got nothing to do. But then I suppose it's to do with these assailants, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. Who's that gonna
who
end
are
up
these?
being?
Who is that going to end up being? Is that going to tie into maybe the Mox storyline, or is this going to be a totally different thing? But they've really did the right thing by retiring the FTW title, and it's like you've got a shot to really push Hook now. Hard restart button. Don't fuck it up. Had Renee with Mariah, but before she has a chance to even answer the question, Willow just comes in and I don't know if you can call it a spear, it was more a tackle.
Yeah.
And then just stole the scene as it were. The blood was still around her mouth while she was speaking. So that was a really cool image. And she said she's faced 3 former champions and she's gonna make Mariah a former one as well this Saturday. It's really, I said really cool.
You know what? I believe her. Because how can you not?
I'd like to, but
I'm thinking more like more feelings than thoughts. But when she's like got blood all over her face and she's just fucking smashed Mariah May, I'm like, yes, you are.
I'd love to. She should be. She should be the face of the women's division. She's been power, an absolute powerhouse the past year since winning the Owen. She deserves it. Also just kind of offbeat, but the name of this Dynamite was Title Tuesday, but there was hardly any title defenses. And at first, I was really confused because I actually thought this episode was meant to be like a battle of the belts. Like there was going to be battle of the belts after the show or something. That's why it was called Title Tuesday. But
Hmm.
just adding on to the weirdness of this episode, I thought like,
That's false
where's the
advertising. That.
titles then? If it's called Title Tuesday, every title should be on the line in every wrestling match, surely.
Well, yeah. Well, what title matches did we have? We had the next one, and that was it, right?
Yeah. So why is
That's
it called Title Tuesday?
that's not Title Tuesday, is it? That's regular ass Tuesday.
The regular show. Um. Yeah, we had Monet versus Emi Sakura. This was fun. I feel like
It was a good match, I thought.
Monet always works very well with Joshi's, and Emi Sakura's got a very big personality, very big character. Monet's got a very big character, so they were able to play off each other in a
Yeah,
really interesting way that, a lot of the women in AEW don't necessarily have that big character, unfortunately. So it was good to see that.
definitely.
Yeah, and there's some really cool spots. The splash. The double splash, should I say, against the barricade, the backbreaker on Mercedes with the extended inversion. Emi Sakura is one of those people that like I'll see advertised and I'll be like, oh, I don't really care because she's not like on the show often, but then you'll see her wrestle and she always wins you over every time because she just knows how to work a crowd and
So true.
in a really interesting way because yeah, just those types of things are just not things that we really see in these matches often on AEW. I don't feel like.
Yeah, I think you're right. And she looked brilliant in this match. And considering like her age and stuff, and like she's been wrestling for 30 years, I didn't realize this. But that's crazy.
Yeah,
And
maybe
yeah,
that's why she's so like a vet. I hate that. Like she's such a veteran, but maybe that's why. Um, I really liked the ending as well. I thought it was really just smart, like Monet pulling on the ring apron, the ref being distracted, Camille getting a shot in, and then Monet being able to get the bank statement. Is that what it's called? The bank? Is it called the bank statement?
think it's
The,
is it called something different
we
now?
have this every time we talk about this.
I'm because I remember thinking, oh, they've renamed that move when they called it on commentary this time, but I
The
can't remember.
Monet maker,
I don't know.
the bank statement anyway.
You
And
will know what we mean.
Emmy Sakura tapped out, and I just thought that was I don't know. It's just a very innovative match. I thought I just
Yeah,
enjoyed that because that is a clever distraction rather than just Camille on the edge distracting the ref by gobbing off. It was her touching. I just liked it. I just liked it. I thought, oh, that's smart. That smart thinking.
it is, and that's what you want to see from a heel. Like they've actually thought it through. It's crafty. It's not annoying and brash and in your face. It's like, it's clever, like you said. Yeah, it was really good. It was an entertaining match. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. They were about to launch an attack on Emmy uh post victory with Camille, but Statlander made the save. So let's talk about all the Statlander stuff because
Mm.
we have kind of discussed it on our own in our own time when the news came out. But first of all, Statlander won in the feud against Willow. However, she is going for the secondary women's title, which doesn't make any sense at all. The role should be technically reversed. Much as we love Willow, I
Mm.
also love Stat a lot as well. It just doesn't make sense. Also, she made this is a babyface save.
Yeah,
That's not been a babyface for the past few months because of her partnership with Stokely.
yeah.
Now, insiders have reported that the relationship there is broken down and that a working relationship is just not possible. It's not even possible to the point where we can't even just have one dynamite where Stokely intervenes in a match and Statland has enough and does like I don't know.
A
Does
proper
does a
a
move
proper face turn where she turns on him.
so this is just absolutely bizarre, the whole thing. Um, it makes no sense. And the only thing you can draw from is that it must be something really serious. But Statlander, she's such a calm and reserved person that you
Mm.
just can't imagine. Some people are a bit of a diva. Britt Baker, bless, bit of a diva. This happened with Britt Baker, I'd be like, yeah, fucking course she did
Makes sense.
that. Her ego's out of control. Love her for that. Um, but that's the type of person she is, isn't she? Statlander, it just don't make sense. So it's just really weirded me out because I know it's like you can't say everyone's business, but if there's been like some serious altercation or some serious disagreement, I just feel uncomfortable about the whole thing because my mind just goes to the worst. And that's what happens when you put half of something out there
Mm.
rather than just if it isn't serious, if they just have been professional and worked it out to at least have one concluding scene, Finn, um, then we wouldn't be theorizing. But because that hasn't happened, I'm just really sussed out by the whole thing.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's so bizarre, and it's not the first time that Stokely's had like a story and it's just abruptly ended for no apparent reason. And I liked them two together. I thought
I
like
agree.
they were good, and them as heels worked really well. The story with Willow was great, and that was like a long story. It's not like they've just been shoved together and it's just not worked. Like they've been together for quite a long time, so yeah, very weird. And it's a shame because I think she was better as a heel. So and then there's no explanation for it. There's no logic to it, which obviously it's just not it's just doesn't make good for good television, does it? I mean, whatever feud with Mercedes, I don't. Yeah, okay, fine. But like what you said, it doesn't make sense for her to go back after that title.
Yeah, and if
No.
you broaden it out, her heel turn came with Trent Barretta's heel turn because she was part
Yeah,
of the Best Friends faction.
yeah,
Chucky T's out, it seems, for the inevitable. Um, and so she has no alliance to any of them anymore. However, the person she was feuding with, Willow, who is the babiest of baby faces,
yeah,
is in the fucking conglomeration with Orange Cassidy. So how none of these relationships make sense. That it's just complicated things so much, I feel like, and muddied her character so much. And I agree she was a much better heel. And the zero having a face turn is huge. There should be payoff to that. It
yeah,
shouldn't be so flippant. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, because of that, because of the lazy writing, you just have to conclude that the hand was forced. But why was it forced?
yeah. All we can do is speculate, and we don't know, but it definitely it does it's not it doesn't leave you like with a positive taste in your mouth, does it? It makes, like you said, it makes you think the worst. So
Yeah. So moving on, we have Private Party with Renee, and speaking of Stokely, he's trying to vie his way in to manage them. Thankfully, the Private Party are like, no, where were you the past 5 years? Now we're number one contenders. You're all
yeah,
you're all about us, and Zay's like, we're gonna do it ourselves. So yeah, I
it
mean,
was
and
quite.
I'm
Sorry, go on.
if sorry, if they are going to put him with someone else, Private Party wouldn't have been my first choice.
So yeah, they don't really go together. I don't see how they match up at all. I did think it was quite stark the way they put Stokely on straight after the Chris segment too, and he's looking for someone else. So then immediately, if you haven't put two, maybe you're not online or whatever, you haven't heard all this news. Immediately you're thinking, oh wait, I thought they were together, but then there must not be anymore because now she's a good guy and now he's looking for someone else, and it just makes it dead obvious and dead apparent, and it's right in front of your face, and surely you'd want to avoid that. I don't know.
That's a great point. Yeah, great point. Um, who would you put him up against though? Because for me, he worked well with Willow because he's such a loudmouth, and he kind of worked well with. I don't know if there's anyone that comes to mind when I'm thinking you need management. And there's
Yeah,
so many bloody management storylines at the minute. I mean, look at the MVP thing
yeah, for
and
real.
Prince Nana, and then we've got Jake Roberts back into the mix, and the Don Callis family. I feel like I do like a manager in wrestling, but I don't like it when it's super dominant and prevalent, and
Yeah,
when the the managers are getting more over than the actual wrestlers. That makes
yeah.
sense.
When they're like the focal point, it's never ideal, is it?
Yeah. Um. Then we had Osprey coming out to speak to Shivani. He wants answers from Don Callis. This was my favorite segment. Loved it. He says, Takeshita does everything you say. So if Takeshita came out and attacked me last week, well, you must be behind. You must be behind it. These tensions between Osprey and Don Callis have been brewing away for a long time as well. So this was a great climax, I thought.
Yeah,
Um, Don Callis is like last week for me was really difficult for me emotionally. And Osprey asks him, "Did you do it? Yes or no?" And he denies it. He denies it. He denies it until he says, "Right, I did it." Um, and yeah, tensions just reached boiling point. And he says Osprey wouldn't listen, and he had to be shown. He referenced his mental weakness during the tag title match when he gave Fletcher the screwdriver, but Osprey didn't allow him to use it. He was like, "No, we're going to win cleanly." Osprey's like, "We're done. I can't believe I ever, even thought about aligning with you." Callis strikes him. There's this great camera shot of Will's face, Callis behind him, sort of like, oh fuck. Takeshita comes out and they brawl. Kyle pulls Osprey, and my favorite part about this, my whole revival, was Kyle Fletcher. I just
Yeah,
love it. I just like the
yeah,
Utah that the the being torn. It's just I don't know. It's just something about that that just
yeah,
it's just great.
yeah. I agree.
Um, yeah, he pulled Osprey off. Uh, and Takeshita used the German. Don Callis forced the screwdriver into Kyle's hand, but he walks off. Um, and yeah, the attack resumes. Um, sorry, before this as well, Fletcher nearly attacks Don Callis, but then Takeshita stepped in, so there were so many tensions and so many. Every person in this group has different feelings towards each other, and
Yeah,
there's
they've all
so
got
many
different
different
priorities as well.
yeah
They've all got different
motivations
aims.
and
Yeah,
alliances. But yeah, then he walks off. Callis and Takeshi regain control, but Ricochet comes down for the save, and that was also like a weird moment because their opponents on Saturday, and I just loved it. This like grey morality and this Fletcher pulling Osprey off, but then what did that do? Because then that just enabled Takeshi to get a German in, but then he couldn't intercept him because then he would be intercepting his own family. And he's not like Yuta and him are mirrors of each other, but Yuta's chosen to go off with Danielson. However, it's
mm,
clear that Fletcher's going to choose to stay in the Callis family, and it's like these two characters reflecting off of each other, and one of them's made one decision, the other one's gone down this other road. But I just loved how Fletcher played this. It was really convincing.
it really was. Yeah, and when him and Osprey like came face to face and they nearly came to blows, but they didn't, and they're both looking at each other like, "Oh, we don't want to fight because we're friends." And yeah, it was really good. Yeah, I like this segment. It was Osprey sounded really good in this promo too, and his anger was really convincing, I thought. And obviously, you would be angry based on what happened, but he just came across like really impassioned, and yeah, everyone all around, good job. Really, really good storytelling.
Yeah, I think we were both big fans of Fletcher this year. He's definitely won us over. I know we're in talks about at the end of the year, hopefully doing some kind of award awards for this year's probably AEW landscape of wrestling as a whole. I don't know, but I think if we had one that was rising star or person who's had the most momentum or won us over, it would. I think probably at this moment, Cal Fletcher would be up there because he's
Yeah,
really won us both round a lot. I think.
yeah, he's top contender, definitely.
Yeah. Then we had Top Flight talking about how they'd lost a number one contendership on Collision for the tag titles. Tensions were high, especially between Action Andre and Layla Gray. But it's just Top Flight in it. It's just the NPC Creative
Yeah,
Wrestler Group.
claiming they deserve a title shot. Well, they did make a good point saying they've got a pinfall over the books, and I was like, huh. Perhaps you do deserve a title shot, but I don't
Pretty
care enough.
boring.
Yeah, I don't care enough to want to see that. I don't particularly want to see that. So
Yeah. Jack Perry just cuts a little promo. He wants the violent side of Shibata on Saturday. We just want him to hold back. Good to see him. Thanks for coming, Jack. Then on to the main event. Danielson and Yuta versus Pac and Claudio. And this had a lot going on from start to finish.
a lot,
Um,
a lot of conflicting emotions.
yeah, a lot of angst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fan fiction writers out there, I know you're having a ball right now.
So Yuta was very much aggressive in this match, and it was very apparent that he was clearly aligned with Danielson. So
Yeah.
that was nice to see that full circle of that. And Danielson, I thought, was on top form during this match.
Oh my
He was
God.
just having
Yeah.
a ball.
Yeah. Really was.
Yeah. The tension between Yuta and Claudio every time that they were in the ring together.
Yeah.
Um,
When
really compelling stuff.
are these two? they've got to wrestle one on one at some point because this is where the main, I don't know, I feel like the main story they're telling is the relationship between them two and the tensions of like Claudio's trying to like sort of be a father figure and you was like, you fucking betrayed me and everyone. And yeah, that was really interesting to me. And I think that's going to build up to a match at some point.
Yeah, Mox and Pac and Claudia, despite being in the same group and having the same motivations, they all have different relationships with Yuta, and especially Mox and
Exactly.
Claudia because they were in the faction together at the same time. It is different. It's like you say, it's more paternal with Claudia, and it
For
with
sure.
Mox, it does just feel like more like I need Yuta as a means to an end, and I
Mm-hmm.
do see him as sort of like more like a protege, and I do want to train him and stuff. Not that he looks down on him and discards him, but with Claudio's more. I don't know. I guess it's because Mox is the leader, but Claudio's just like fully indoctrinated, and so he believes everything that he's saying, and he genuinely does believe it when he's like just trying to help you. Like this is for the let me
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah. And also those moments where Claudio like didn't want to hit you or he didn't want to fight him, so he still thinks that he can win him over and get him to see the truth. Like, oh, it's for the best. Whereas Pac was the one who was holding Yuta back when they were attacking Danielson. He's sort of like the outsider, and he maybe sees Yuta as like a weakness, and he doesn't care about him because he doesn't have that personal connection. Whereas Claudio's more like, trying to get him on board. Whereas, like you said, Pac and Mox just sort of just see him as like a means to end. They sort of just discard him. So, oh, such a dysfunctional family.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the hot tag to Danielson as well.
Yeah,
That was a a great point. And the match ended semi cleanly. It was a label lock. And Pac tapped out. Lots of chaos.
yeah. So Pac was gonna try to use the ring hammer, wasn't he, as like a weapon, and then Wheeler stopped him, and then that's what led to Brian getting the label lock on Pac, and Pac tapped out. But there was moments in this where I thought that I don't know, stupid of me to think that like, Danielson was about to eat the pin. Like when Pac hit
Yeah.
the I think it was a 450, and I was like, oh my God, is this going to be it? And of course it wasn't, but it was just a really, really good match. I think Claudio and Brian were the two standouts for me when them two faced off against each other. The work rate they were putting out was crazy. Like the power bomb reversed into the Hurricane Rana. It just made me think they're just wrestling like two 20-year-olds, not two grown-ass men in the 40s who don't have that much long left in their career. You know what I mean? It was just it was just effortless and doing some pretty big spots as well, like the one I just mentioned. And also Claudio like caught Brian on the suicide dive attempt and like neutralized him on the floor. Just the work rate through the roof. I mean, everyone in this was great, but those two really stood out to me, and I just would love to see them one on one at some point in the future before Danielson, retires.
Yeah, I really got the best out of each other.
Yeah,
Um, for sure. And you could just how lovely that Danielson, his wind down his career, gets to work with people that he's been wrestling for decades now, that he's
yeah,
known for decades. And I think that's why the work rate's so high and why, it looks so effortless because it's just such genuine passion. And I think that's why Danielson
yeah.
looked so hot during this because you could just, I don't know, you could just, he was radiant during this match, I thought,
Yes, it really
um,
was.
for sure. Um, Mox tried to interject as things started to fall apart.
Mm.
And Danielson brawled him up the ramp. And Danielson really was dominant throughout this whole thing. I say he was hot coming in, final countdown, the match, and then the post match. He did not come across as like weak. And because he's the babyface, oftentimes in his feuds, they kind of, I feel like during go home shows or whatever, he's the one being laid out and he does the neck
Yeah,
angle. But it was quite
the underdog
refreshing to
story.
yeah, it was refreshing to just see him be the American Dragon. I suppose it speaks to Mox's promo of what happens when you provoke it and you put it in a corner. Well, this is the
Mm.
fire of the dragon, so to speak. So they're brawling backstage. Meanwhile, in the ring, though, Claudio uses the hammer on Yuta,
Yeah, sad
twice,
times.
sometimes. And Danielson and Yuta spill back into the arena, uh, and he is able to clear the ring, and come to the aid of Yuta, and so the others retreat, and yeah, it ends with Danielson looking dominant and ready for the fight against Mox on Saturday. And even though they did brawl, it's not like we really got to see them wrestle each other. They've been
Mm,
kept
yeah.
quite far apart, so I think there's anticipation as to how that match is going. I feel like I haven't watched feel like I haven't seen Moxley do a good one-on-one that's like goes a long time with someone on AEW pay-per-view in a very long time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Same. I
So I'm
think
interested to
it'll.
see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited. I, I love them both, and I think knowing them two, they've probably thought this out for a long time, and they will have ideas of how they want it to go. And yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm really excited for the payoff of the story because I think it's been a really good story.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What would you rate the show then?
I mean, we ended on a high, didn't we? This was a good match. This was a good segment overall. And the segment before that with Osprey and Don Callis, that was good too. But then everything else was pretty. I mean, the women's matches were good as well. I know because yeah, we said it was mid. When you get into it, it's the wrestling was good. It's just some of the storyline pieces didn't really work. I want to say maybe a 6.
I wanted to go slap bang in the middle for 5,
Mm,
but I'll
I
go
can
for
see that.
5.5 with the
5.5.
good. But we're kind of swayed because that the last segment was good, I feel like. But that
Definitely.
that
Well, it
just
depends.
tides
Like,
it over a little bit. But I
yeah,
think the angle and the creative direction and a go home show very weak.
yeah. Especially if we're measuring it up to that measuring stick of like, it's a go home show. We want to build anticipation for this pay-per-view. Did it achieve that? Not really. And that's obviously more difficult to live up to than a regular ass Dynamite. But that's just the way it is, and that's probably contributed to having like a lower score. But you do have high expectations for a go home show. I don't think it lived up to them.
Yeah. So if we decide on that, should we start doing the predictions for Wrestledream?
Yes. Let's do that.
So 0 hour. It's been announced that Atlantis Junior will take on Brian Cage for the Ring of Honor World TV Championship match. Um, could not give less of a shit if I tried. Will not be watching
Yeah,
that.
I guess.
Not.
Yeah, me neither. I
And
guess.
I don't care.
I guess Atlantis is probably going to return. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not following the story. I don't know what's going on, guys.
Don't care. AEW World Tag Team Championship match, the Young Bucks versus Private Party. And God, what history do those two have together? My God, since the inception of AEW, it's nice to see Private Party return to form.
Mm.
I can't get out of my mind that Zay used to be brother Zayn. He used to be the third Hardy brother for a while. Like what? That was so wild that. But anyway, I think the Bucks are returning.
Yeah, me too. And they weren't on the show at all. Like not even a video packaging out. They were just talked about. Um, so like it's weird for me to predict them to win because I just feel like they've had no presence whatsoever. But I agree. I don't see Private Party winning.
I think the Bucks have had it for so long now that it's going to be very substantial when they lose it, which is a great thing. But
Yeah.
it just means that when it's a kind of not a throwaway feud because I think they're going to put on a really great wrestling match. But when it's a team that doesn't have as much legitimacy, it's hard to have that believability. Whereas when it's someone who's been tag champions for only a couple of months, you can be like, oh, they might not. But with the Bucks now, it's at a point where you know that when they do lose it, it's going to be to when they lose it to the Outrunners, of course. But
Obviously.
when they lose it, it's going to be to a team that's been built up for a very very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be the private party. Maybe this will be a series of matches. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be mad at that to rebuild and back up, but I just don't think that this is the time.
Yeah, that's makes complete sense.
Yeah, so we're in agreement. Um, we have got Hangman Page versus Jay White. I think Jay White because I think it's the better option for both of them. I think where do you go if Hangman just keeps winning? I think
Yeah, that is
I
true.
think I think Hangman needs a loss and I think that'll actually cause him to distort more. And I think it'll
Yeah.
unravel him even more. And I think that the next person he goes against, it'll be I don't know. I just don't I really I'm terrified that Jay White is gonna lose this. So I just have to put my stock in him.
Yeah, I mean, you got to manifest that. Um, I agree that Paige like needs the loss, but I think we said this last time, and he ended up winning. So I'm not really convinced. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with Adam Page.
Oh God. Darby Allin versus Brody King. I think Darby's winning, especially if he's wanting to
Agreed.
push for the world title. Like, in what world is Brody King winning?
Did you also see that Darby Allin went to a kid's birthday party this weekend? Like
No, I didn't.
he just randomly showed up at this kid's birthday party, like obviously like a wrestling fan or whatever. And it was like a trampoline park, and he was teaching all these kids how to do the coffin drop.
Love that. Love that. I bet that was on the health and safety waiver that all the kids had to sign before going in.
So maybe this is what he means when he says he's the face of the company. He's going to kids' birthday parties for free.
He's also selling that pink ratty cat coat now as well on his
Is
fashion line.
he?
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
limited edition, guys.
like he's selling off
No,
his
like
jacket or like
not his actual
reproductions.
jacket, but like his yeah, his reproductions.
Of course. Well,
£77, guys.
shit a brick. That's expensive. I could go down to my local charity
I
shop
kind of
and
want
get
it
on
just for
it.
meme though.
I know.
I'm just gonna sit in it like every episode and
Oh, I
just
love that. Oh, that's a good idea. But I think you could just find one at your local charity shop for like a quid.
oh
So,
the heat we have on Darby Allin. Swerve returning on it's not a match, but just I just wanted to talk about what capacity. I mean, I
yeah,
think
what's
it's
he
going to
gonna
be
do?
something to do with MVP and Prince Nana, but I think Bobby Lashley signed, so I think we're going to get Lashley coming in. I think
Oh
that's how
yeah.
that's going to go down.
And Shelton doing shit. How
Yeah,
exciting.
he's going to do his weird eyes. Um, the TNT title match. God, all these are very predictable. Jack
Mm.
Perry versus Shibata. Obviously, Jack Perry's going to retain.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I would love Shibata to win just for something a bit
I
different.
wouldn't. I
But
wouldn't.
yeah, I know you're a big Jack Perry stan number one. But no, you're right. You're right. Jack Perry's gonna definitely win.
Um, especially since, it seems that after that, we're going to get Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia, which will be
Yes.
very tasty, and I will very
Oh
much
yeah.
like that. And I won't be mad if Garcia wins then. The ROH World Championship match, which apparently is on the main card, Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. I think Jericho might win it.
Oh no.
I
No, I
really do.
don't.
Just for the everything's very predictable and not a lot of titles are going to exchange.
Mm.
And Chris Jericho being Chris Jericho, yeah,
I disagree. I think that oh, I think you've got a point, and I don't think it's like
I could just see it.
Yeah,
You think it's gonna
same.
be like Matt Briscoe's gonna win, he's gonna get vengeance, and you're gonna see that, but then I think there's gonna be some shenanigans, a really lazy win, and it's gonna be like meh, 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 like his music playing and no reaction, and I could just see it.
But we've been here before, you know. I think we're just getting Mark having his feel good moment, and he's like, "Fuck you, that one's for my brother."
I'd like that too, but I live in the real world.
Well, well, we'll see. Hope to God that I'm right.
The AEW International title, a championship match. This along with Jay White versus Hangman, the ones I'm most anticipating. Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Takeshita.
Oh,
I
what a
think
banger!
you know what? Takeshita's gonna win it. Fuck it.
Do you truly believe that, or
Yeah,
is that
I
a
think he
theory?
could. Look at that
Oh,
last
but
segment. Look at that
yes,
last
that
segment.
is
How that went
so
down.
true. Yeah,
And they really want to push him up. Ospreay, he's done international title, mate. Completed it, mate. Who
yeah,
else has he got to face within the international title scene of that belt? Not that many people. Let's get him out of there. Not for the world title because that's too crowded, but let's go have him do another side quest. Have him go do something else. Um, yeah, I think Takeshita could steal it. I think Osprey and Ricochet will be focused on each other at some point,
yeah.
and I think he's just going to snipe in there. And I think Callis is. I think yeah, I think that's the feud, Takeshita and Osprey, and then he'll go on and do something else after. And I just love Takeshita, so yeah.
You know what? You've won me over with that. You very convincing argument because I can just see it like him, like you say, sneaking a win and drama with Don Callis getting involved and then he stands tall at the end and Osprey's fuming and he's like,
Oh,
have I made a
I might
mistake?
stay up live for this pay-per-view, guys.
Oh, this is gonna, yeah, for this match alone. I mean, everything else, don't know, but this one, oh, I don't know who to
This one's
predict
gonna
though, because I
bang.
don't want to just
It's
like
gonna
copy
bang
him.
though as well. Look at them, all three of them. They're
Yeah,
great in ring. It's gonna absolutely slap
yeah, I don't know who to predict. I might.
Ricochet.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna go with Osprey because my that was my initial gut
Oh,
reaction.
controversial.
You convinced me otherwise, but I'm gonna stick with my guns just for the sake of doing something different.
We're splitting on a few today. The women's title match. As much as I would love to see Willow win it, I think Mariah's. I think we're waiting for Tony Storm to come back and some more Mina Shirakawa, and I think that's what's popping with that.
Yeah, agreed. It's too early for her to lose it.
Yeah, the World Championship match. I think Danielson has to win it. I don't think he's retiring this
Agreed.
weekend.
Agreed. And it's a shame because I don't know where Mox is gonna go from that.
Oh,
Um,
I think we might get the reveal. I think we might get the reveal this weekend of who's running it or something. I don't think it's going to
mm,
be a case of of Mox loses and he Danielson stands
and
tall. I
that's
think there's
it.
going to be
Mm,
there's going to be some escalation with that. Maybe they don't get a full reveal. I don't. Shane McMahon, guys. But you know, I've heard
oh
talks of it
God.
being Sammy Callahan as well. You know.
Sammy Callahan, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Switchblade conspiracy rerunning. Cool.
Yeah.
I love these conspiracy theories. Keep them coming. Let us know in the comments your wildest out of pocket person who's gonna be the mastermind of all of this. William Regal coming back.
Um. Yeah.
Well,
That's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think you've left out the most important match of this card. Um,
Ava.
Hologram versus the Beast Mortos.
Yeah, I saw that was announced.
2 out of
I
3
like the
falls
Beast
match,
Mortos.
nonetheless.
I like the Beast Mortos, so let's have him win.
I think they're so hot on Hologram at the moment, and his massive winning streak. I think he's gonna win. But
I
maybe
agree,
like,
but Beast Mortos, man, he's with Jake Roberts now, isn't he?
hmm
Jake Roberts is gonna help him win or something. I don't know.
with it being a 2 out of 3 falls match, you just know that like Beast Mortos is going to get like one fall on hologram. It's going to be like, oh my god, that's the only pinfall he's ever taken in AEW. But he still won the match or something.
That sounds legit.
Mm.
Go on then, But I don't know though, because like I think if they want to build LFI up, I don't know.
You know what?
Do I
To be honest,
care?
I don't really care.
Do I care enough to debate this for the next 5 minutes? No. Will I enjoy watching it?
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a pretty good match, to be fair, and a pretty stacked card.
Yeah, it's built up.
Am I dead excited? Not really.
I'm stressed. No, because in my head, Takeshita's winning, so I'm excited because I'm like, my boy's winning. I'm like, I fantasy book things. I'm like, Bobby Lashley's coming in. I'm like, Shane McMahon's going to debut. Kenny Omega's going to come back.
Oh yeah, he was referenced on Dynamite this week, so not unheard of,
Yeah, I'm like, do you know what? It's going to be great, guys.
I'm sure, you know what?
Jay White's going to get a win and then he's going to become world champion.
Yeah.
Wrestledream. You've got to dream.
We're dreaming up all the
Wrestle
best
Nightmare.
possible scenarios.
Wrestle
Manifesting.
Nightmare, bloody Chris Jericho winning and hologram, and it's actually Marco Stunt, guys. It's actually Marco Stunt's come back and he's going to retake control of the AEW after being on his missions, his missionaries.
Well, on that note, I guess
Danhausen.
Wrestle Nightmare.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, you rock, and good night, bad.
I wish you died in the womb!